Hello, you welcome to One Africa Mission with your brother Dobia and Zanzibar. Today we're going to East Africa, specifically Uganda and Tanzania. Uganda and Tanzania came out with a beautiful plan, beautiful project to build a gas pipeline linking the two countries, creating energy sufficiency for the both countries, which will give more opportunities for industries, for more industries, because without energy there wouldn't be there cannot be industries. So these two countries came out with a beautiful project to create energy sufficiency for their respective countries. The arrogant European Union still think that they have the right to decide. They still think that they have the right to decide what Africa should do and what Africa cannot do. They still think that the destiny of Africa is in their hands. So because of that, the European Union moved a motion trying to stop the two countries from completing the project. Yeah, citing human rights concerns. Sometimes you think of these Europeans and then you don't understand, you don't know. Like imagine, two sovereign countries trying to create opportunities for their citizens, and then you have the guts to come out and then try to stop them from doing that. Can the African do the same thing to Europe? African Union Parliament came to Europe or passed a resolution trying to stop a European country from developing a project that will inure to the benefit of the Europeans. It's just not possible. There is no way. We cannot even think of doing that. But look at their arrogant behavior. They still think that Africa is their property, so they can decide what the African can do for the good of Africa or what they cannot do. So what is the project all about? Let me tell you a little bit about the project. The East African Crude Oil Pipeline, also known as the Uganda-Tanzania Crude Oil Pipeline, is under construction and intended to transport crude oil from Uganda oil fields to the port of Tanga, Tanzania, on the Indian Ocean. Once completed, the pipeline would be the largest heated crude oil pipeline in the world. Once completed, the pipeline would be the largest heated crude oil pipeline in the world. And they are not happy with that because it is not in Europe. If it was to be in Europe, they will not have concerns about human rights or whatever. But because it is in Africa and they think that Africa is their property, so they can decide what is good for the African and what is not good for the African. So they are doing everything they can as Europeans to stop this project. A project that will cost the two countries almost $20 billion. These people are trying to stop it, citing human rights concerns. And the question is, when did the European start to care about the right or the human rights of other people, especially the African? When did the European, because all the mess that is going on in Africa, it has been caused by you, the Europeans. And then you still think, or you always think that the African doesn't deserve nothing better. The African doesn't deserve anything good. Anything good should be in Europe, and everything negative is Africa. It is a new dawn for the African. The Africa will not take it. This nonsense from the European Parliament. And I really applaud Uganda Parliament for standing firm and then condemning this behavior from the arrogant behavior from the Europeans. How can you dictate can you go to China and then tell the Chinese to do not to do a project that they think will be good for the people of China? You can't do that. So why Africa? One African Mission always talk about a united Africa, because with a united Africa, these people cannot be pointing their filthy fingers on our faces. But because Africa is not united, and they think that maybe Uganda and Tanzania are weaker nations, so Europe can decide to them. You guys industrialized Europe. When you were industrializing Europe, nobody didn't stop you. And Today it is the time for Africa to also industrialize Africa, and then you guys cannot stand it. You guys cannot stand to see a developed Africa, because a developed Africa means Africa wouldn't be dependent on you anymore for things that we could even do for our own selves. So because of that, the project must stop. Citing human rights concerns. What human rights? When did the Europeans start to care about the humanity of the African? You industrialize Europe, create opportunities for your people, and when the African is trying to even cross the Mediterranean Sea, or because of that the Africans are running away from Africa, crossing the Mediterranean Sea, dying in the Mediterranean Sea, and when they even get to Europe, you make them a laughing stock. 400 years ago it was Jesus. Sorry to say, I'm not trying to attack anybody's religion, no, but sorry to say, when they came to take our ancestors into slavery, it was Jesus that was going to save Africa. And for that matter, they are coming out with all these reasons as to why we should continue to depend on them. If we are industrialized, we also become independent. We will not be depending on them for things that we can do for our own selves. The other day, and because we are depending on them, they will arrogantly tell us every nonsense. The other day, a European Parliament member, a higher diplomat in European Parliament, called the rest of the world jungle and Europe garden.
Europe is a garden. Europe is a garden. Europe is a garden. We have built a garden. Everything works. The rest of the world, most of the rest of the world, is a jungle. And the jungle could invade the garden. And the gardeners should take care of it.
Well, how did you become garden? You become garden because you industrialize Europe and create opportunities for your citizens. And today, when we want to create the same opportunities for our citizens, you are passing resolutions trying to stop us from doing the same thing, so that we'll continue to depend on you, and then you continue to call our countries or our continent jungle. Yours is heaven. Whilst as a matter of fact, the Garden of Eden in the Bible is in Africa, or is Africa, because it's Africa that you will get everything. All beauty, or the beauty of nature, is in Africa. That is the Garden of Eden. But we went to sleep, and then you guys mess us up, mess everything up, and make us a laughing stock for the rest of the world. And then today, when the African has realized that he has what it takes to create the Garden of Eden into its reality, its real form, not an illusional one, you guys are doing everything you can to stop us from creating that garden. It is a new dawn. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy and excited the way and manner the Parliament of Uganda took this upon themselves. And the President of Uganda, tell them, what kind of arrogance is that? He said, you are fighting a loose battle, because there's no way we're going to sit down and allow you to dictate to us and to tell us to stop the project. We're doing it for the good of our people. We're not doing it for you, the Europeans. When you were doing yours, you did it for the good of your people. Today we are doing it for our own selves, so that the children of Africa will not be dying in the Mediterranean Sea, trying to cross to Europe to look for greener patches, so-called greener patches, so-called better life, that so-called illusional better life that does not even exist. If this project is completed, according to what they are saying, it's going to be the largest in the world, and it will create huge opportunities for the people of the two countries, for the citizens of that two countries, and not only that two countries, the entire sub-region of East Africa. It will give people, the youth, opportunities. Industrialization is very key if you're going to provide opportunities for your youth. And I like the way the Deputy Speaker of Parliament for Uganda tell them that neo-colonialism will not be tolerated again. That mentality, that colonial mentality, that Africa is yours, that you can decide to Africa because you once You once went to Berlin and sit down and divide Africa among yourselves. So till today, you still have that mentality in your deep in your subconscious that the continent of Africa belongs to you. So anytime you want, you can decide what is good for them or what is not good for Africa. The Deputy Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, tell them it is not the same game anymore. It is a new game altogether, and then I will not take it. That new colonialism, Africa will not take it. We will not sit down and allow you to colonize Africa in any form again. And thanks to the leadership of the African Union, the government of Congo and the rebels are now beginning to understand that the peace of Congo will only come or is depend on them, not on anybody else. Because if you're gonna rely on these people who think that their continent is garden, is a jungle, if we're gonna be relying on them for anything, then 100 years from now, we're still gonna be complaining. It's about time we stop the complaints and stand up and use our brains for the good of Africa. Anything anybody can do for their continent, we can do better. We have the resources, we have the manpower, and we have the human resources as well. We have the brains, but unfortunately, brain drain. Unfortunately, Africa has allowed her best to be taken away. And I'm so happy the way and manner the president of Uganda and the parliament of Uganda handled this issue. That is what we believe. We at One African Mission believe that the only way to stop all this nonsense from these